Paul, and who's coming in for being with us for our second best practices call for the year. We're excited to see everybody. And with us today, sharing on the topic of becoming a better leader by prioritizing self-care, which I know I personally probably need help with, is Shira Miller. She is an award-winning CCO, two-time TEDx speaker, a certified executive coach, and a writer with a book coming out this year, I think.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, very exciting. And become a better leader by prioritizing self-care. Between the pandemic, economic turmoil, civil unrest, and political divisiveness, more individuals feel overwhelmed worldwide than ever before. So Shira is going to teach us some tactical tips for making self-care a priority. And with no further ado, I will turn it over to you.
Okay. Well, thank you for having me here today. I could talk about self-care all day long, and there's a reason I'm passionate about it. The scoop is it completely transformed my life. When I started making it a non-negotiable priority, it allowed me to balance a demanding career with a purpose-driven life. It allowed me to meet the man of my dreams after a divorce. It helped me keep a 50-pound weight loss off for decades. And it helped me overcome health challenges. Because as you know, especially these days, there really isn't that much difference between work and the rest of your life. Feels like we're constantly trying to do both and juggle it. So self-care is really the magic ingredient that can help you get going. So these days, I started referencing it. We're in some pretty weird times. And you know what? I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you guys real quick. Okay. Great. You got this? We're specifically going to talk about how to become a better leader by prioritizing self-care, because I know those are the roles that you all hold, and it's more important for you than you might even think. So this past year, oh my, hang on, I can't advance my presentation. Hang on a second, you guys. Let's see. Oh, okay. Hello, finally. Okay, self-care allowed me to learn how to work my laptop better just now. Let's talk about it. Okay, so this past year has really been a dumpster fire. If you think about it, first it was a pandemic, which was officially declared a pandemic a year ago this week by the World Health Organization. You had the economic turmoil that followed. You had 90% of the population in the US at some point stuck at home under stay-at-home orders. During its height, 30 million people were furloughed or unemployed. Civil unrest spiked. The instances that you saw of police brutality linked to systemic racism surged. I mean, there was Tiger King. That's the state of our country. And I got to tell you, I'm part of the problem. We totally got addicted to Tiger King when it launched. It just became a real good coping strategy back in March of last year. There were murder hornets. There was a record amount of hurricanes. They ran out of names, wildfires, you name it. And then 2 months ago, the rioters at the US Capitol. This year was filled with stress with a capital S. So what does that mean for you? As leaders, it's even worse. Because not only do you have to think about yourself, you've got to be there for a whole bunch of other people. You have to lift up employees when you're already burnt out. You're managing the brand reputation of your different companies and organizations, and you're dealing with crisis after crisis after crisis. And in many cases, doing so while you're working from home, trying to teach your third grader history and just dreaming about the chance of taking another vacation. So you've got to start with your well-being in order to be there for everybody else. There's a lot of ways that you could cope with the dumpster fire that I described. I mean, think about it. Some people started obsessively baking sourdough bread and cookies every day. Wine o'clock, around 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon became a real thing. Netflix binges, 12, 14 hours long, no big deal anymore. But something that's really healthy for you is turning to self-care, especially when you consider that symptoms of anxiety, depression, and other disorders tripled over the course of the year. So now I'd love to find out, what does self-care mean to you? And I'm wondering if we've got the chance, let me see if I can make this a little smaller. I'd like to hear from people. So I don't know if you can unmute yourself for a second and tell me. I want to hear what self-care means to you.
For me, it means taking time away from other people, time to just relax without without interactions from anyone at all. Really, it means taking time to watch Netflix with a glass of wine.
3 in the afternoon. That's great. Thank you, Milton. Who else would like to share what self-care means to them?
Hello. For me, self-care is putting myself first, whether it's my health or my interests and anything like that. And also saying no a little bit more often and not saying yes to everything.
You are so wise. No is the magic word. It really is. Yeah. Thank you, Jennifer. Who else wants to share? I'll take one more. I'd like to say I'll give you a new car if you share, but that's a lie. Just share for the greater good.
For me, it's stepping away from my phone, even for an hour.
See, and that's quite the feat because it's crazy addictive, right? My husband calls it my pacifier.
Let me clarify, stepping away from email, stepping away from my email and Slack and Basecamp notifications for an hour would be.
So it's work. It's every work trying to get its tentacles constantly.
I just mean work. I'm not like struggling with my Instagram scrolling these days.
Thank you, Lee. I appreciate you sharing. Okay, let me bring this back up then. So thanks for defining that. I appreciate y'all's examples. And I'll tell you, something that really confounds me, well, there's a few things that confound me. Calculus, we're all PR people. I'm sure that is shared, the pain there. The appeal of mayonnaise-based products, the sudden resurgence of Paris Hilton. I really don't get that. All of a sudden, she's in the headlines again. I know she just got engaged as this huge rock, but I digress. But the thing that really makes me scratch my head is the people who think that self-care is selfish. Because especially during tumultuous times, you need to make taking care of yourself a top priority. And I have a quote here that I wanted to share. Brenda Bentz is a global executive coach. I interviewed her for my book project. And basically what she's saying is that if you want to do good work and be the best you, the best mother, employee, son, daughter, you've got to have something left for yourself before you can pour it into other people's cups. You've really got to replenish.
Shira, I don't mean to interrupt you. I'm sorry, but your screen didn't come back up.
Oh, no. Okay.
I wanted to let you know.
Thank you, because I'm just assuming I'm showing you all of these great things, and I'm not. Let's see. Hang on. This is where I really wish I had an IT department right here in my office. Hang on. Can you see? What can you see now, Heather?
I can only see the grid.
Let me stop sharing for a second. Okay. Heather, all I can see is you.
That's unfortunate for you. I'm sorry.
No, it's not unfortunate. Let me try one more time. You guys, thanks for your patience here. We're all dealing with all these fun times, okay? Let's see. Can you see it now? The presentation? Yeah. Okay. I'm not going to make it bigger. I'm just going to make you see it like this, quite frankly. So so if everyone's good, I wanted to talk about different aspects of self-care, and let's start with exercise. Did you know that exercise makes you smarter? The Mayo Clinic says you think more clearly, it improves your self-confidence. When you get all of those great endorphins in your system, I mean, it's awesome for your well-being. So that's fantastic. When you think about leadership, don't you want to have all of those great skills at your disposal? And if you look at this quote from psychologist Ron Friedman, instead of viewing exercise as something that we do for ourselves, a personal indulgence, you really should look at it as physical activity as part of the job itself, because it's making you so much better in your role. Okay. Let's see. Another aspect, sleep. You guys, you know what? I am having really bad Zoom karma today. Okay, let's see. Sleep. Sleep improves your immune system, your response and your mood, it promotes clear thinking and better interpersonal skills. I got to tell you, I spent decades as an insomniac. I just thought sleep was a waste of time. By the time I hit my 30s, I started realizing I actually functioned better. My 40s, it got more intense. After I turned 50, my God. Okay, sleep is another non-negotiable. And here's a tip. I love to see you establish a regular bedtime routine. And so when you're talking at the beginning about, doing Netflix binges, Cobra Kai, that's one of my recent obsessions. Okay, Cobra Kai, it can be really easy to want to stay up till midnight, 1, 2 in the morning watching that good stuff, but it isn't doing you any benefit at all. Okay. Instead, try to establish a regular routine, weekdays, weekends, of about the same amount of sleep, and you're going to be able to get to sleep easier at night. You are what you eat. When I was growing up, there were all sorts of infomercials about this topic, and it's true. Food impacts your energy levels, your mood, your ability to think. And so really be conscientious about what you're putting in your mouth. Find an approach that gives you the energy you need. And once you establish whatever that is, celebrate wins along the way. When you feel that food is giving me great energy and it's making me happy and allowing me to really take care of myself, it's a wonderful place to be in. I've got another question for you guys that I'm going to ask. Let's make this. Okay. I'm going to try to make the screen big again. Let's see. I'm curious. Raise your hand if you worked more hours than normal over the past year. Okay, just about everybody's raising their hand. So now what I'd love to know is how many more hours? Are you talking 5, 10, 15, 20 more hours a week? Do we have a chat function we could use, or do you guys want to unmute? I'd love to, if you could unmute, we could hear you. That would be terrific. Anybody want to share?
Say probably for me about, it feels like it's got to be at least 20 hours plus I've added on. It's work has become interwoven into daily life. So there's working from home and in the office virtually has made work continuous.
And that's true across the board. There's so many studies that are coming out right now. People are really burnt out because the work keeps going. But the problem is when you're constantly working, you're giving something else up. And the chances are you're giving yourself up something that brings you joy. So something that's really important for your self-care is to make sure that you're still having fun. And that is a regular part of your day. A couple of tips here. Think about what brings you joy. Maybe make a list of experiences and activities that make you happy, and make sure that you schedule it just like you would do with a regular meeting at work. Put it on your calendar. Something that's been a nice silver lining of this time, I'm back in my corporate office 3 days a week. 2 days a week, I'm at home. So now on Fridays, I take a Pilates reformer class at lunch, something that would clearly not have been possible 13, 14 months ago. So I schedule that thing. It shows up. I don't care what people think it is at work. All I know is they do not bother me between 12 and 1 on Fridays. Another area here, is mindfulness. We're all hearing about mindfulness. It's not just sitting there and meditating, though. It's really being calm, still, and present in the moment. And there's a lot of different things that can help you achieve that state. You can check out different apps. Calm's a huge one. There's so many different kinds. And when I start talking about meditation, a little goes a long way. You don't need to be in a dark room trying to calm your brain for an hour at a time. You can try 5-minute, 2-minute, 1-minute meditations to go to a quiet, still place. And that can really help give you clarity and balance. Journaling is one of my preferred tactics. That's how I stay clear. Most days I journal before I start work. And it really helps establish the day, putting myself at the center of how do I want to take care of myself that day. And another idea here is to schedule an activity where being quiet is the norm. I mean, that could be a yoga class. It could be anything where you're not constantly surrounded by other people. So let's talk about how to make self-care a priority. The first step is to give yourself permission. That sounds like it should be easy, but it's not. Because when we get trapped on the treadmill of constantly going and doing and working, it's hard to stop and go, I deserve to do this. So give yourself permission to make it a priority, make the time for it, put it on your calendar, and start small. And I'll use the example of exercise. 20 minutes of exercise will give you that endorphin boost. 10 minutes starts to get your heart pumping. You can start to build in 10, 15, 20 minutes a day and then work up to whatever your rhythm might be.
Okay.
And then once you find that rhythm, that becomes your habit.
Okay.
The final thing I'd like to talk about today is to commit to one self-care takeaway. And I'm going to try to make the screen bigger so that I can see all of you again. I would like to hear what you want to commit to. If you can pick one thing, and it doesn't have to be big, as I tried to say, it could be one little thing. I'm going to walk to my mailbox instead of driving there. I'm going to sleep for 15 extra minutes a day so I'm not exhausted by 3 in the afternoon. I'm going to plan one fun thing a week with a friend, in person, virtual, whatever is safe for you at this time. I'd love for some of y'all could share one takeaway, one thing you plan to do to promote your self-care.
I love to take long walks, and it's been a few cold months, and now that the sun is out and it's getting warmer, I want to schedule that, like good weekend walks. Lee, Juanita, Meredith, you're welcome to join me. Meeting at the park and just getting out and enjoying some sunshine.
That sounds like a wonderful plan. And plus you've got invitations to these other people. They're going to join you, right? Anybody else have one thing that they'd like to do to start taking care of themselves more?
One thing that I have been doing is exercising. I have been going to kickboxing. That is one activity that I actually enjoy as far as exercising is concerned. So going to kickboxing 2 to 3 days per week.
Oh, that's great. Plus, it's amazing to get out your aggressions and you're punching that bag. Feels good, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
Yeah, that's terrific. Well, everyone, I know that I have 20 minutes to speak. Thank you for your time. If you would like to learn more about this topic, I know Heather's going to send you different articles, and feel free to visit my website. It's shiramiller.com. I have lots of articles. There's information about my book. It's called Dislodged. It's how to get unstuck and thrive in our post-pandemic world. And like I said, I could talk about this topic all day long. So thank you for your time, and let me know if you have any questions.
Thank you so much, Shira. Does anybody have any questions?
Important words and important message. So thank you. We all need to hear that.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Absolutely. If there are no questions, then we'll give you guys back 10 minutes. So I hope you have a wonderful afternoon.
Thank you so much.
Bye, y'all.